welcome to another drive-in double feature. I'm Ryan,
I'm Nathan.
and this is the podcast where we talk about two movies a week every Tuesday and Thursday. But before I get into anything at all, we have a Patreon over at patreon.com/ drive-in double feature podcast.
Mhm.
Nathan, I was at my local Taco Bell the other day,
Okay.
and I was picking up some tacos, and I immediately remembered Taco Bell used to have these like collectible Godzilla cups, and it
I remember
really brought me
those.
back. It brought me back to my childhood, just like the days of when I'd go to the NASA Space Center. And
Of
I
course.
remember last week, actually, I went there, and
Oh, yeah.
I ran into somebody who had a nice, freeze-dried ice cream bar,
hmm
and they were just chewing on it. And I said, "Oh, that looks tasty." They're like, "Yeah, but it's even more tastier is the Patreon for the Drive and Double Feature podcast. It's got some fun games, fun conversations, just a good old time there between two friends for only $5 a month." And I said, "Oh yeah, that does sound good." And they said, "I hope Nathan and Ryan realize how much we appreciate them." And I said, I think they know."
Yeah, we're definitely more tastier than an ice crem sandwich from the NASA.
I think that this is a tasty podcast.
I
Tasty
think.
is it's just very hearty.
Oh, oh, you think we're hardy? Okay, yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, it's only $5 a month. Doesn't affect any regular content whatsoever. But today we're talking about 1998's Godzilla, directed by Roland Emmerich. So, Nathan, I'm immediately brought back to the year 1998.
I'm sure.
I'm a big Godzilla fan. I've got the Godzilla VHS tapes. I've watched them religiously. I
hmm
can't get enough of Godzilla. I am floored when I see a teaser trailer for Godzilla coming out to theaters. Like they're finally doing like
hmm
we're finally going to see a Godzilla movie. Because mind you, I had never seen a Godzilla movie on the big screen.
Yeah.
It was always on TV. It was either on TV or on one of my VHS tapes.
hmm
So to say I was excited is an understatement.
hmm
I couldn't contain myself, like just thinking about going to this movie. I remember we got to the theater to see this movie, and I remember the showtime we went to was sold out.
Wow. Wow.
And when we got, because back then, obviously you couldn't reserve your tickets in advance. It's just you got to the theater. If it was sold out, oh well, type of
Yeah,
thing. And
you
you had to
probably had to go see something else.
no, we waited at the theater
Wow.
until until the next showtime started, which I think was like an hour or something later or some
Wow.
yeah. So, but we waited there, and I remember just being totally excited. I remember being excited even as the opening credits played,
hmm
and the movie happened. The movie was over, and that is the first time I remember in my life being genuinely disappointed in a movie.
So you didn't even like it then.
No, I did
Wow.
not. I mean, because it's not a Godzilla movie in my opinion back then. I was just thinking like this is not anything like the other Godzilla movies I've watched. It's the but back then I don't know if I could really just put my finger on it because I knew that there was something in there I didn't like. I didn't like the way the Godzilla looked. I didn't like that he didn't fight any other monsters, but it was just something that everything in my brain just told me like this is wrong and I don't like it.
That's always
And
interesting, right? Like when you're a kid or young and you don't like something, because you can't like put your finger on it, but you just have this feeling of just like, oh, I didn't like that. Like there's just something inherently bad about this.
yeah, I was only 10 years old. I couldn't I couldn't really look for a more nuanced meaning of why I didn't like this
Mhm.
movie. Um, but I wanted to see, do my opinions hold up? Do I still viscerally hate this movie like I did before.
Stop right there. Was that the last time you watched this movie? Have you never seen it
Uh,
since?
I think I watched it one more time on
Yeah.
VHS
Hmm.
uh, m many moons ago when it first came out on VHS, but it's definitely been uh, more than 20 years. So
Wow.
probably like a good 25 years, I want to say, since I've last watched this movie.
Yeah. It's funny that you say the VHS tape because I actually have memories with that. Because, you
I
know,
knew you did too, so that's why I wanted to ask you, what is your childhood experience with this movie?
it's weird because I was pretty young in 1998. I was 3. But it very early memories of this movie and being excited because there was something about the media hype and build up for this movie that somehow it got
It was
ingrained in
huge.
my head. It was huge. The movie was a big, huge deal. The commercials were everywhere, and I just remember that. And I remember being really excited for it, just thinking, "Oh, that looks so cool!" Like I just even as a young age, we didn't see it in the theater or anything, but I remember the VHS tape coming out, being really young, and my parents rented it from somewhere, and watching it and being really excited beforehand and being bored. And I don't remember the movie at all. I remember just being really bored as a kid, and which is crazy to say about a Godzilla movie. And I think
Hmm.
I probably did something else. I probably was like, all right, I'm done with this. I'm not going to watch this anymore. And that's my last memory of Godzilla. I have seen clips, I've seen the Nostalgia Critic review, and that's about it. It was out of my brain at that point. And I'd imagine like it came out in 98, so it probably didn't come to tape till 99, right? Uh I imagine. But yeah,
Yeah, movies didn't come out that quickly as they did now.
yeah.
Because
But
I mean, I usually if a movie came out, usually it was like 6 months to a year before we
mhm.
would get it on VHS.
Yeah, so I think it had been a little bit of a gap as still a kid, but yeah, very bored by it. But yeah, so this was my first time in over 20 years watching this one too. So I honestly I was kind of excited to watch it because I guess I was interested to just see it. I've heard it so bad over the years and it's awful. I was like, you know what? It's time to like check it out. It seemed like you weren't excited at all to watch this one.
I mean, I, on my inner child was not because I was just kind of like I already know I'm not gonna like this,
Yeah.
and but my critical brain was just thinking in the back of my head, just I was like, okay, well, enough time has passed.
Hmm.
I could give this movie a fair watch and give it my real opinion. Like what do I see like as a movie versus as I did when I was a kid?
Hmm. Well, let's get into it. Let's see. Let's see how it holds up.
Yes, let's do that. Before I get in, I do want to do what I've kind of done before and just kind of set the
Mm-hmm.
table a little bit. So how this movie kind of came to be, like I said before, is they were kind of planning out this movie, this Godzilla movie, all the way back in 1993. They had gone through numerous rewrites. Numerous directors were up for the role, Tim Burton being one, Joe Dante,
Oh wow.
a lot of other directors were up for this role. Um, when Sony got a hold of it, they basically came to Roland Emmerich. Now you got to think about at the time, Roland Emmerich just came off of Independence Day, like
Yeah.
one of the hottest, biggest summer blockbuster movies at the time.
Yeah.
Where I mean, I remember that movie was a big deal as well. Like
Yes.
everybody watched that movie. So it just made sense basically. Like, hey, let's go with this guy. He's he did this big budget disaster movie. Let's get him to make another one. Uh, and Toho, to their credit, they did send um, sort of like a Bible of
Mm.
Godzilla, of just saying like these are the rules that we would like for you to adhere to when you are creating your Godzilla movie. and I'm going to read out each individual one in
and
case you
we're
haven't
gonna and we're
looked at
gonna and we're gonna see if they ding any of these
it.
words.
Yeah.
All right.
Um, so one is Godzilla's origin has to be tied to a nuclear accident, which
Okay.
that is done.
Hmm.
He cannot eat people, only fish, which I believe he does in this one. I don't think he eats I don't think he eats
I
anyone.
yeah, I don't think he
He
actually
kills
eats
people.
anyone.
He kills people. He has to have 3 rows of dorsal plates, like the fins on the back,
Yeah,
which
I
he
think
didn't
so.
really. I think he had more or less,
Okay.
but I think he only had 2 actually. But no more or less than 3 toes on his feet and 4 fingers on his hands.
I don't remember these things about this Godzilla.
He has to have a long tail,
Yeah.
and he can't be made fun of.
He can't be
And
made fun of.
yep,
Huh.
lastly, Nathan, he can't die in the movie.
Oh my God. Wow. They interesting. I mean, really, that Bible is a lot more interesting than I thought. That they, I guess they had always planned that Godzilla was going to look different in this one. So I guess that's what that is like, okay, if you're gonna make him look different, at least stick to these core things.
Um, so there's 2 different angles to this story of
Yeah.
how this movie came to be. Um, they had a Godzilla script already, but um, the screenwriters for this movie, which I believe I'm gonna make sure I say them correctly. It's Dean Devlin and Roland Emmerich kind of came in because Ted Elliott and Terry Rossio actually wrote the original screenplay, the one that they chose back in the mid 90s,
Hmm.
and they basically handed them the script, and Dean Devlin and Roland Emmerich like took a look at it and they said, "We're throwing out this whole thing. Like we
Mm.
want to do our own Godzilla movie going into it." The problem with this, Dean Devlin is admitted was a Godzilla fan. Roland Emmerich is a big hater of Godzilla. He does not like Godzilla at all. He was stated in numerous interviews saying that he thought Godzilla movies were really stupid
Mm.
and that the suits in them, like he claimed that the suit actors were a bunch of fat guys walking around on set.
Oh my God.
Um,
But this happens quite often though, with like like where people get movies and they're like, "Oh, I hate this franchise. Let me work on it," which is so stupid. Uh,
um, one point, it's a big action bill. There's a lot of points in here that I'm borrowing from, which go
mhm,
watch his videos. Uh, he brought up the point of so there was like a broadcast back in the day of John Belushi presenting a Godzilla movie, and he was in a
mhm.
Godzilla suit, and he was kind of like making fun about saying like how goofy like the franchise is and everything.
Yeah.
And a lot of people kind of take that time frame, and a lot of people that was their first exposure to Godzilla and be like, "Oh yeah, this is a really stupid
Yeah.
movie series." So that was kind of like the expectation at the time. But so when they were designing this character, um, supposedly Roland Emmerich faxed over this Bible to the creature designer,
Hmm.
and but the creature designer, which was Patrick Tatopoulos, which
Oh,
I
no way.
yeah,
Wow.
so he said he never received such a thing,
Mm.
and that's when they kind of changed it. They wanted Godzilla to be able to run very fast. They wanted him to have jumping abilities. Uh, they wanted him to be a good swimmer. They wanted him to have very sleek design. They said they wanted him to have a very sensual design. That was a word used. They wanted Godzilla to be
That
sensual,
makes me feel gross.
like, with his tail swaying around and his very
Mm.
sleek design. So
Yikes.
they basically, it was just Roland Emmerich like talking about how much he did not like the original design of the Godzilla and how it was stupid and he wanted to make his own.
Hmm.
Um, so where it differs, Nathan, when I said there was two angles, is when it comes to the original meeting for Toho. So after Roland Emmerich had kind of refined his idea
Hmm.
and he came to Toho, he basically presented this new design of the Godzilla after they had, expressly written, this is how Godzilla is
Hmm.
supposed to look and everything. From the Toho side, it sort of came in that Roland Emmerich kind of walked on set or walked into this meeting. And when they saw it, they were kind of like aghast and just like, oh my God, this is not Godzilla at all.
Yeah.
And Roland Emmerich was basically just like, look, I directed Independence Day. If you want big money, you go with me. I'll give you the big money. And if you don't do it my way, I'm walking.
Wow. But I got to hear the other side of this story.
So the other side of the story is from Roland Emmerich, and Roland
Hmm.
Emmerich basically said that now where it doesn't differ is Roland Emmerich admits that he did not want to direct this movie. He wanted to direct his own disaster movie of
Yeah.
like a meteor destroying a big city.
Hmm.
So so basically he wrote and designed this character to where it's like, oh, we're not going to use this character at all. We're just going to show the destruction that comes along with this monster and all
Hmm.
these other things. He wanted to make his own destruction type of movie. His claim was he intentionally made a really stupid design and he made this really bad design that was going to get um, rejected and he probably would have been fired and he could have made his own movie that he really wanted to make. But
He was working that hard to
Toho
get fired.
but Toho came back to him and were like, yes, approved. And
Well, I mean,
so
it had to get approved at some point, right?
well, yeah, I mean that's that I guess the point is one was like painting Roland Emmerich as like this huge jerk that came in there basically throwing his weight around, and Roland Emmerich's side was like, I tried to get fired, but they said
Mm.
no.
I tried to make the movie bad. That's what I'm hearing.
That's what I hear too when
Yeah.
somebody says that. So probably somewhere in the middle, maybe, I don't know, but what we got is what we got. And now we can kind of dig into the movie a little bit.
Hmm.
So how this movie starts is almost exactly how the original Godzilla starts. It has a
Hmm.
Japanese fishing boat that's out there. They end up getting attacked by something in the water. I think this is probably one of the better scenes of the
No.
movie.
Hmm.
It's just, it's got some good animatronics. It's got this really good scene where the uh, boat gets destroyed. It leaves a little bit of mystery to it, and you're
Hmm.
kind of feeling like, oh, Godzilla's going to be back in a big way.
Yeah, it's a pretty like intriguing scene, like when the way it rips into the boat and water's like leaking in. There's like it reminds me a little bit of Titanic a bit, but with the water rushing and people in it. It's not bad. I mean, like generally, no, I won't say for the whole movie because the CG is a little. I mean, I know it was top of the line for then, but it looks a little funky at times. I think the destruction is handled pretty well. I mean, if Roland Emmerich's going to do something right, I think some of the destruction is pretty good.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There's special effects in this movie can be impressive. I don't want to take away from certain aspects of this movie. There are
Mhm.
genuine pros to this movie. Uh, Cut two from that scene, we get our star of the movie, which is Matthew Broderick, dri
Yeah.
driving in a van, singing a song, and he's
Singing in
uh,
the rain.
singing in the rain, and the whole movie takes place in the rain. So that's kind of like a little foreshadowing here. Like the whole movie, it rains.
Yeah, it's crazy
Uh,
to see that in a movie, just how much it rained, how much water is used in this movie. Uh,
yeah,
Matthew Broderick
and
is horrible in this movie, by the way. Absolutely terrible.
I, that's. I mean, I made that's one of the things I probably didn't notice in the last movie or when I
Right.
watched this as a kid is just
Yeah.
Matthew Broderick is not good in this movie.
No.
He's not compelling in the slightest. He just comes off like this huge dweeb type of
Yes.
character that I don't care for at all.
Hmm.
Um, and I don't think other than maybe the evil mayor, there's no one in here like I think gives like a good performance.
No, yeah, everybody is pretty bad. Even like the comedic roles, they're just written in such a doofy, dumb way. And they have like seriously, like it's got a Simpsons reunion here. Harry Shearer and Hank Azaria both show up in this movie. And oh, go ahead.
Forgot there's a third Simpsons actor in this movie.
Who am I missing?
Uh, so there's a scene, I don't know if you saw it, but if you remember, but Charles, the Harry Shearer's character, his
Yeah,
secretary, the blonde lady with the little cast on her hand or whatever,
I remember. Who was
that's
that?
Nancy Cartwright, Bart
No
Simpson.
way. So what? Were they just like Simpsons heads or something? That's so
I
weird.
I don't know, but this is the closest thing to a live action Simpsons movie.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. That's so funny. But even them, like the maybe Harry Shearer's character is kind of funny, but Hank Azaria is another one that's just really bad and not funny. I think it's just writing. This movie stinks of rewrites. It stinks of idea just kind of destroyed and a mess of a movie. There's a lot of comedy. This is like pre Avengers, just horrible comedy in a blockbuster movie.
Yeah, it's a lot of comic relief type of stuff.
Hmm.
It just that makes the movie not compelling in the slightest.
No.
And um, once Matthew Broderick appears, it turns
Hmm.
out his name is Nico Tatopoulos. And the
Yeah.
big running gag in this movie is that nobody could say his last name correctly, and he's always correcting them.
Yeah. One of the worst movie gags of all time is that gag. Is like, because that happens a lot in movies where someone's name gets mispronounced. That's like a cheap joke that I think is just never, it's hardly ever funny.
Yeah, it's it's done very frequently, and
Mhm.
it doesn't get any funnier by any means. But he's studying worm growth in Chernobyl, and he's
Yeah.
just like, "Oh my God, these worms have grown 17%."
And
And
everyone makes
this,
fun of him for that because he's so interested
hmm
in that.
and he's chosen because after the military gets wind of Godzilla from the boat accident, they kind of pull him out of the field, and since he's like a radiation expert, he kind of gets pulled in. He's the scientist character in this movie, and it's revealed that France actually is the cause of this Godzilla coming into
Hmm.
form, and it's from not how it is before. The other one is just Godzilla's a kaiju, like he's this mystical creature that's living in the water, and he kind of is disturbed by all the nuclear testing.
Hmm.
And this one, it's confirmed that Godzilla was created from an iguana that got
Yep.
radiated and looks like that, which is why Godzilla has a much different design on him.
Yeah. Which, how did you feel about the design?
I remember hating the design as a kid.
Yeah.
Cause I was like, that doesn't look anything like Godzilla. That's just like a big
Hmm.
dinosaur. Uh, Now, I mean, disregarding some of the awful CGI, I don't think it's that bad. I mean, I can kind of see the influence of the 90s in there, and it kind of makes a lot more sense
Hmm.
what it is. But it doesn't look very Godzilla like. If it
Yeah.
was any other character, any other monster, I don't think I would have that big of an issue with it. But this one, it doesn't feel like very Godzilla like at all.
No, I agree. Yeah, it just looks like a 90s, like just a 90s design. And like they made the Godzilla cartoon. I remember that. And I feel like they looked better in the cartoon that they made. Yeah, it's okay, but like you said, it's not Godzilla. And I know later that kind of got retracted, right? Where he's not Godzilla, he's just Zilla or whatever. Um,
Yeah, that's going to be
yeah,
much later in the Toho series, but
yeah,
um, basically after a certain amount of time, Toho was able to claim the rights to this character specifically
hmm
because nobody in America had any interest in continuing with this
That's
design.
yeah, that's so funny. But yeah, no, it's just not Godzilla. That's like the biggest thing. That was kind of my feeling this whole movie. I don't think it's a good movie. Like I said, the humor's not funny, the acting's not good. But I feel like if it wasn't Godzilla, it might get a little more appreciation as like just like this dumb B movie monster flick. But with its comparison to Godzilla, it definitely is like, oh, like it has a lot more to live up to.
That's the biggest problem with this movie, I feel like. If it was called anything else,
Mhm.
I think I don't know if it would have gotten the same success box office wise,
No,
but I think people wouldn't look at it with such disdain either. Kind
yeah,
of like Halloween 3. At the
yeah.
time, it was very heavily criticized, but now it's kind of seen as like it's good for what it was. This one has not had any kind of critical resurgence or
No,
anything like
this
that.
one I hardly see anybody go back and be like, yeah,
I,
that's good. That was actually good, people.
but here's the thing, though. I've heard a lot of people that have seen this and they enjoyed it as kids,
I could see that.
and
I could see that.
I, I mean, I've heard that from multiple people. They're like, "Oh, that was so good." And I think the issue with that is the reason why is because that was their first exposure to Godzilla as well.
Yeah.
There was no other anything else that was like Godzilla because they didn't see the giant rubber suits, they didn't see the Godzilla
hmm
fighting. They just saw like a giant monster attacking the city, and it was just kind of like, oh yeah, that was cool.
But yeah, I feel like that's a bit like they only because we talked about this before how they keep canceling the Godzilla movies for Toho. Or not canceling, but stopping. They stop to do it because they make more money off the products than they do the movies. And I feel like as kids, at least when I grew up, Godzilla was more of a product. I didn't watch the movies, but I knew of Godzilla. Everybody knows of Godzilla. So when the first easily accessible Godzilla movie comes to America, it's like, okay, well, this is my Godzilla.
Yeah, and like I said before, the campaign for this movie was insane. Like I don't know if you had any recollection of it being around.
Vaguely, but like the fact that at like 3 or 4, I wanted to watch this movie, I think that just shows you that there was some big push for it.
Yeah. So I do remember the campaign for this movie because I was 10 at the time. And
hmm
I remember Taco Bell like had these giant Godzilla collectible cups. There was ads for this movie everywhere.
hmm
You go to the toy store, there was the Godzilla from this movie's like toys all over the place.
hmm
Um, big giant sign. I just remember the hype for this movie was real, and a lot of people were going to see this movie. Um, but anyway, I just, it just wasn't like the Godzilla movies I remembered as a kid. And when you see like this giant monster appear for the first time in New York City, I I think my biggest problem with this movie now is that I never really got the sense of fear in this movie.
hmm
Like I always thought like, Godzilla, if you're going to make Godzilla the villain of the movie, you should make him very terrifying and so destructive. But and this one, it's almost like when they brought this up from multiple reviews, Big Action Bill, it's like Godzilla is like a scared animal almost.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. Where he has to go in hiding constantly through the whole movie, and he's more in the
Uh,
city as a nesting area.
What which they Godzilla appears in Manhattan or whatever, and
hmm
he scares everybody, destroys a bunch of things, tramples some people, and then they're like, "Where's Godzilla?" Like, we lost him. It's
How do
just
you
like
and I was like, okay, they're gonna reveal that he was like camouflage. He's got like camouflage because he's a lizard. Nope, they just he disappeared. We lost. How do you lose something that big? And they don't explain it. Uh,
no.
so stupid. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, and
Um,
also what doesn't help it be scared, like not be scary, is like every scene where he's in the city is punctuated by a joke. Like when he's walking and Harry Shearer is like talking on the phone, is like, I don't want to do a story, you know, because he's a newscaster, and then I need a story, and then the lady's like, I think your story just walked by the window. You know, it's like
she
bits like,
said, "Don't have a cow, man."
oh, I can't believe I didn't notice. But yeah, that you know that's stupid. And then like there's like a bit where he crashes through the Chrysler building, and they make a joke out of that. It doesn't help that the mayor is named Mayor Ebert, and his right hand man is Gene, and they keep doing thumbs up, thumbs down jokes.
That I mean,
It's
if
funny.
there's gonna be if there's a character I enjoyed, it would probably be the mayor character because he was just so over the top. But
Yes.
I bet that wasn't anything good or anything like that. He was just like, "We can't evacuate the city. I got an election coming up," and
Yeah,
just
because it is so over the top, right? Because it's like Jaws, where he's like, "We
like,
got to reopen the city. You got Godzilla, right? Godzilla's dead. Bring everyone back."
and they're like, they keep trying to. The Gene tries to keep feeding him candy. He's like, "I don't want any candy."
Yeah, which I think, yeah, which you know, like the idea of that is funny, but I guess he put them in there because they didn't like hit Roland Emmerich didn't, or they didn't like Roland Emmerich's movies.
Yeah, and even Gene Siskel and Roger Ebert, like they commented on it, and they were just like, they thought it was really petty,
Yeah,
and they said the thing that they didn't like the most is just like they didn't really do anything with those characters because both those characters survive at the end of the movie,
yeah.
and at the end they were just basically like, if you're gonna put us in the movie, at least they could have had us get like squashed or something, like it could have killed, but
So,
they didn't do that at all. They just put us in the movie just to put us in the movie.
yeah, which is more of a loving ode to them than anything. They should have just put him in the movie. They should have just hired Roger Ebert and Gene Siskel to be in the movie. I'm sure they would have been like,
That
okay.
that would have been funny.
Yeah. But
Um,
Mayor Roger
I
Ebert, I'd love to see it.
um Another character too I want to bring up, which I hated this character, was the character Audrey, which was
Mhm.
uh Matthew Broderick's love interest in this movie.
Talk about a plot line that just like kills so much in the movie. I
It's
hated this plot line.
it it's a romance element in this movie, which I don't want to knock having romance in the movie because we've
No.
done romance in other Godzilla movies. It's a thing that happens. The thing I don't like is just how unappealing this romance is because they basically say they're college sweethearts. Like it's like, oh
Mhm.
yeah, I dated him in college, and just things didn't work out. And uh, and she's portrayed as like this really bad person, like awful person, where she just like because apparently he's like, you just left and you didn't say anything, and I haven't heard from you in eight
Mhm.
years or whatever. And she's just like, yeah, I just went on my own career and blah blah blah. And um, later in the movie, Matthew Broderick has footage of Godzilla and the one of the
Secret
survivors
footage.
of, and it shows Godzilla, the one survivor of the Japanese boat trip, basically saying Gojira, Gojira,
Mhm.
and Charles Harry Shearer's character is like, oh, his name is Godzilla,
Yeah.
and they're like, and Audrey's character is just like, it's Gojira, you idiot.
I hated that. But yeah,
And
go ahead.
she basically steals Matthew Broderick's materials just to further her own career. And it's just like, I just wanted to, you know, advance my career. And he's just like, yeah, hope it all worked out for you. See ya, type of thing.
Yeah, and we're supposed to care about this Audrey character, but all we've learned is that she is a bad person because that's a horrible thing to do because she was kind of being a friend, they were getting back together, connecting, steals that, and then they treat it like it's like a small mistake, right? She's like crying in her bed, like, I can't believe I did that. And Hank Azaria's like,
I,
You made a mistake, people do it. Now come outside. We're chasing
yeah,
Godzilla.
that was the other thing too. Like Matt or Hank Azaria's character's like, it's a mistake, it happens, and like, no, that doesn't happen. You
Yeah,
betrayed, you
you
betrayed his trust.
and you stole top secret government tapes. Like that's not a slap on the hand, I'm pretty sure. That's way
No.
worse. Um
Uh, I
but
will say though, I do want to one last thing about the character is that she was played by Maria Patillo,
mm,
and she actually won Worst Supporting Actress at the Razzies that year.
pretty deserved, but I don't know if it's quite her or just that the character is just kind of insufferable. It's not a very good romance, and the fact that they get together at the end is very unearned because because all she does is she makes it Matthew Broderick look good because nobody
Oh,
believes that Matthew Broderick believes Godzilla has laid eggs, and nobody believes it, but she sends like out to the world through a newscast that yeah, Godzilla has laid eggs, and that solves every issue that she's ever given him.
yeah. So that's the other thing in this movie too that you mentioned. Uh, They they get a sample of Godzilla's urine and they test it, and Matthew Broderick is like, he's pregnant.
Yeah, they
Like
keep
they
saying
actually
he's pregnant.
say they actually say that Godzilla is pregnant. Like it's just, and they're like pregnant, and they're like, oh yes, he reproduces asexually
Hmm. So now
because you
they're
know Godzilla can't have sex and he can't be a woman either. So,
so it has to be
but
asexual. But
but damn it, Roland Emmerich wants his Jurassic Park ripoff scene.
yeah, yeah, he wants his baby Godzilla toys. Those will sell well to the children. Yeah, and there's a lot. Oh my God, Godzilla was full of eggs. I didn't notice Godzilla's big fat stomach, but man, it was full of eggs because the whole what is it, where is it again? The wherever he lays those
Madison
eggs.
Square Garden.
Yeah, thank you. Madison Square Garden is full of eggs.
Yeah. So, um, Godzilla kind of terrorizes town for a little bit, and I don't even say like he terrorizes it. The other main crux of this movie too is Godzilla doesn't do a lot of destruction. The military does way more
Yeah.
destruction of this city than Godzilla ever did. It's like
Hmm.
it's almost like a parody. Like they there's a scene where Godzilla is just appeared and the military have like all their cannons and missiles like pointed right at him, and then Godzilla just like ducks, and
Yes.
then they just destroy this building.
Yeah, and that's like not all that because like for the longest time they use heat-seeking missiles on this cold-blooded iguana, and they just keep missing missiles and everything. The military is absolutely dumb in this movie, and the fact that they had a scientist saying that there was a nest there, and there it's immediately like, nope, you're out of here, get out of here.
Yeah. And that's the only way that they can find out that Godzilla has had eggs is they're like they have to broadcast out to the world that Godzilla has had eggs, and they're going to lay, and he's like they're going to reproduce at a rapid rate, and at one point it could outnumber the human race.
Yeah, yeah. Which is like, oh my God. So that's the Jurassic Park ripoff scene where they're trying to run out of Madison Square Garden with all these little baby Godzillas running at them because the military has sent missiles at the
I-
guards, so they have to get out in time.
It's it feels I, I guess I didn't see it as much as a kid, but now it's very clear like this is very much ripping off Jurassic Park.
Oh
It
yeah,
especially the raptor scene specifically.
yeah, yeah. It's very, very blatant and very, very long. That's one of my big issues with this movie. It is long. It feels like forever, and that scene in particular takes forever. I don't know. It's 2 hours, 15 minutes, I think, but it feels like a 3 hour movie. I think it's just because of all the plot lines. This movie
Yeah.
follows so many different characters. Like, I got it. And a lot of them aren't
It,
very good.
That's a Roland Emmerich staple where it's
Yeah.
just they have it has this big ensemble cast
Hmm.
and there's multiple different plot threads going on because that's pretty consistent in all of his other movies,
It's
I would
true.
say.
It's true.
So that seems more like it. But yeah, I thought that scene was way too long with the
Yes.
with the Godzilla babies, and it just I wanted more Godzilla, and there really wasn't there, and it wasn't Godzilla being like a menace. And there's another infamous scene in this movie where they're trying to lure Godzilla out, and they're like, Godzilla, he's not gonna fall for this trap, and Matthew Broderick's like, yeah, he is. He's an animal, and you just got to put the right bait out. And
Hmm.
so they're like they make the point. They're like Godzilla likes fish, and there's a big pile of fish, and there's a scene where Matthew Broderick looks at the person standing next to him and is like, that's a lot of fish.
Yeah, and the military guy just has like this puzzled look. It's really weird. Like, yeah, and that's it. That's the joke. Um,
It's
yeah,
just that's a lot of fish.
that's a lot of fish. Yeah, bizarre. There's a lot of bizarre scenes in
And
this movie.
I think for me, one of the other big bizarre things too was the score of this movie. I hated the score of this
Really,
movie.
I guess I didn't really
The
notice it.
So there's a scene where Matthew Broderick is face to face with Godzilla. Godzilla is mere feet away from him,
Hmm.
and he doesn't act scared at all. And the music should be indicating, what a scary scene this is. But that's the score for this movie is very whimsical. I feel like
Yeah,
it's just kind of like na 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 na.
yeah,
It's very much like Jurassic Park's theme song. Like I got like those types of vibes at the end of
yeah.
the movie, like dun 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 dun. Dun. And it's just
Hmm.
trying to play off of how epic this is and how big and giant, well, giant dinosaur walking around is like. It's not really giving off the vibes of like, oh my God, I'm going to die right now.
Yes, yeah. And that's I guess that's the problem with this movie maybe is that like you said the destruction just isn't doesn't feel powerful. It more feels silly, goofy, like and the whimsical is the word. And yeah, I guess I didn't notice it when I watched it, but I definitely like looking back at it now, yeah, it's the music does not indicate power behind Godzilla. And that's I just think the tone maybe is all wrong
That
in this movie.
I think the tone is all wrong in this movie because you never really get the sense that Godzilla is this monster. If you go back to the original,
Mhm.
Godzilla would come in, he would destroy the towns, and people would just be like devastated
Yeah.
afterwards. Just in the original movie, like there'd be all these people in beds, like showing the effects of it, showing like this entire town just wiped away, just
Mhm.
reduced to rubble. And King Godzilla was just kind of seen as this slow moving force that they couldn't stop, and they just kind of had to endure it until it was over.
Mhm.
And this one, it's just Godzilla's there. He kind of like runs into some buildings. They
Mhm.
shoot some buildings that gets destroyed, and he jumps into some water and runs away.
Yep. Yeah, and we do get one. Yeah, no, and that's yeah. It just it misses the point, but that makes sense because the director doesn't like Godzilla, so of course it would miss the point. He's just making his own movie. I will say, looking back, I do think the final chase scene is pretty decent, where they're in a car together and Godzilla's chasing them through the streets, and there's destruction. They're having to avoid it. I thought that was pretty. I thought that was pretty well done.
Yeah, going back to what I said originally, there are some good elements to this movie. The
Hmm.
miniatures in the movies that they make, the
Hmm.
animatronic head, that is like a real animatronic head they have for a couple of scenes.
Yeah.
That it was a giant 30-foot head, and I thought it looked great. And the scene where the taxi cab is in Godzilla's mouth,
Hmm.
I thought was really cool. I enjoyed some scenes of this movie.
Wow, that's a big step, Brian. I feel like it's a big
I
thing
haven't
to
finished
admit.
I haven't finished my final thoughts, so don't get too happy
Oh,
about that.
okay. But I'm just
But
saying, like, no, because I feel the same way. There's stuff I am impressed by with this movie. Generally, though, not good. Like, I feel like I'm just get. It's more like I got to give it some benefit, but like it's a very minuscule amount. Because will I ever watch this movie again? Maybe 20 year from me now, but right now, no, not anytime soon. Maybe not in the next 10 years, at least.
going back to the special effects, the CGI in this movie is super dated and looks bad.
Yeah, it makes me wonder if it looked bad then. There's no way. But there's like one scene where Hank Azaria's in the street and Godzilla foot comes down and he like is standing in the web of his toe so he doesn't get killed. That scene in particular, I was watching. I was like, this looks horrible. Like this is bad.
Yeah. And that's why they say that this movie was shot in the rain and at night so much is just to kind of hide the imperfections of the
Hmm,
CGI,
that makes sense.
which which would make sense. And I could see why they would do that sort of thing, but probably the thing I hate most about this movie is the ending
Oh yeah.
where Godzilla is running away from the military once again, and he ends up getting tangled up in the Brooklyn Bridge,
Hmm.
which he's just kind of standing there helpless. And instead, the military just does a concentrated attack against Godzilla and shoot a bunch of missiles and artillery at him until he finally just dies.
Yeah, Godzilla
God,
dies.
Godzilla dies by the military in this movie. Like
That's
after all the other times proving man could not destroy Godzilla without creating this like destructive bomb, but this one is just, he gets killed by a couple of missiles and just dies. He Godzilla is dead at the end of this movie.
yeah, they solved the movie. It's really I don't know. It's definitely an odd choice. Um, that's the best I can say because like it's not satisfying because like I mean they do set up a sequel of course, but you know it's the fact that like that's not going to be the sequel that Godzilla just gets away in the end or like gets hurt badly and hides. Nope.
No,
No.
it's just it kind of ends that way where he kind of falls over and just dies and everyone's just kind of like hooray type of thing.
Hmm.
Like there's no at no point is there any kind of thought-provoking thing at the end where, like at the
Hmm.
end of the very first movie, it was just like, oh my God, man's hubris has created this destructive monster, but instead it's just like, yeah, we killed it. We're from New York.
Yeah, you mess with New York, you mess with all or no, you mess with Spider-Man, you mess with all of us, referring to New York.
Yeah. That was this movie is very New York heavy. Like New
Oh
York
yeah.
is there's so many characters speak with that accent.
The fake like New York accent that they're putting on. Yeah, that it's like an I love New York movie, a rally cry for New York, which means there's plenty of the World Trade Center in this movie, which doesn't get
Hmm.
destroyed. It does that actually stays up. So there's no
That
irony.
speaking of the World Trade Center, did you
Yeah.
notice the one line they mentioned? They're like, because this is 3 years before 9/11,
Yeah.
and they're like Harry Shearer's character
Oh
looks in them
yeah.
looks in the camera and he's like, this is the most destructive thing since the World Trade Center bombing.
Yeah, I heard that and I was like, oh boy. They don't know what's about
And
that.
that's like just wait. But
Man.
yeah, I just thought it was I was just like, oh wow, that was kind of interesting that this like
Yeah.
that was seen as the most destructive thing at the time.
Yeah.
At same building. But yeah, Godzilla dies. Like you said, the movie does end as a hook, a sequel hook, that they forgot one of the baby eggs. It hatches, and supposedly we're going to get a second Godzilla movie.
Still waiting.
And there was at one point going to be a second
Oh,
Godzilla movie.
yeah.
And so Roland Emmerich and his team had written another script. but it wasn't up to par for Toho standards and Sony. And this movie was seen as a success on paper.
Hmm.
It it did gross a little over $300 million at the worldwide box office.
Hmm.
So on paper, it was a hit. It earned just enough money to be considered a success.
Hmm.
But due to the ad campaigns and the amount of money they sunk into advertising publicity, it still was not living up to the par that they wanted as a success.
Hmm. Yeah, because I look at
And
those numbers of like 100 to 150 million cost to 300 million made. That's probably not the success that they were looking for.
no. And this movie earned at the US box office its first weekend $40 million, which was big at the time.
Yeah.
And then but then as it went on, it kind of dwindled as the weeks went on. It
Mm.
wasn't People kind of saw this movie, and then once they saw it, they really weren't interested in it afterwards. And, there was
Yeah.
no repeat viewings, and people kind of saw that this was not as good of a movie as they thought.
Yeah, I guess if anything, this because sorry, I'm like stumbling. It had really bad reception. Just all around critical and public reception to this movie was not positive. Even the people who weren't Godzilla fans, they did not like this movie.
No, I mean, like I said, there are some people I know that do have nostalgia for this
Mhm.
movie, but like I said, at the time, this movie was pretty heavily panned. Like I said, this was nominated for multiple Razzies and
Mhm.
winning one of them, and it was nominated for Worst Picture, that sort of thing. So it was just kind of seen as a massive failure, and due to lack of interest and public demand, uh, people were not really looking for a sequel, and that's why Sony never went through with their second Godzilla movie. And like I said, Roland Emmerich probably was dying to get out of it. Um, One funny note is that the screenwriter, as I mentioned before, Dean Devlin, apparently, like he was would go out after the movie after the movie came out, like he would go on to like Godzilla message boards and like would go in and like specifically argue with fans and basically just said like Godzilla was a success, and he literally would go in there and be like, to hell with all of you.
Wow, what a different time. That was a fun time in the internet where like famous people probably went on there and like defended themselves really publicly.
Yeah, so that was like in one of the earlier days of the internet. He has since come out and said like he realizes there's faults in the movies and he's not a big a fan of it
Mm.
as he claimed to be. And Roland Emmerich also takes a lot of blame for this movie. He says, I was not really interested in the source material. I was not the right person to do this movie.
Hmm.
I shouldn't have done it. He still claims though, despite people hating on it, it was a success. So he at least puts his hat on that.
And which he can have that. He can have, I mean,
Yeah.
like, yeah, it was a hit. He made money. So it's, yeah.
Yeah. And overall, my opinion of this movie, I still don't like it. I don't like it at
Mm.
all. I probably would like it a little more had it been called something else, but
Mhm.
I still have those feelings in my mind of just like this is not what I grew up on. This is uh pretty much everything that kind of stands against of what I loved about Godzilla. This is pretty much like the anti of all that. Um, it kind of feels like too that the American like the since this American production was kind of seen as like just the arrogance of it, like, oh, we could stop Godzilla with our military is just
I didn't
something
even
that
think of it that
just
way, but yeah.
really rubs me the wrong way.
Mhm.
I don't like it at all, and it kind of just feels like there really wasn't a lot of love with the original Godzilla franchise before this. So I still don't like this movie at all. I probably would not go out of my way to ever watch this again. I would only watch this if I had to for something like this. But um, yeah, I don't hate it. I hated it. Didn't like it at all. I would not recommend this.
No, and that I totally get that because it's not a good movie. I don't recommend it either. I don't think it's very good. I think it's very messy. I hate blockbusters like this that are more comedies than blockbuster because the comedy is always miserable. Like I said, there's some stuff I was impressed by. I think some of the action scenes are kind of fun. So like I think I got at least more enjoyment out of this than I
Mm,
expected.
hmm
But it's still not a good core movie with a really bad romance in it too. So like when that story's not there, when that's not interesting, then the whole movie's not interesting. So even if I look at it as like, oh, let's think of this not as a Godzilla movie, it's still not a good movie, right? So
No.
I can't recommend it.
I can put this one to bed, Nathan. It was kind of
Yeah.
like, it was kind of those ones where it had this very ominous feeling like I was going to have to watch it at some point. I'm glad it's over, but
Hmm.
I'm not. I'm glad I watched it to confirm my previous opinions at least.
Yeah, good. You were a smart kid.
Debatable. But anyway, Nathan, what are we going to be covering next time?
All right. Well, Ryan, we are going to be watching Judgment Night from 1993, starring the great Emilio Estevez. You know, I know, I see that look of excitement in your face right now. I know you're
Oh
pumped.
yeah,
Uh,
Coach Gordon Bombay. I love him.
I do love Coach Gordon Bombay, but that one is going to be streaming over on Amazon Prime. But Ryan, what are we covering on Thursday?
Nathan, we've talked about this movie for a while. This is another very infamous movie that we've been debating on covering, and I made the judgment call of we need to cover this movie. So, Nathan, we're going to be doing the movie Soul Man,
Hmm.
and that is on YouTube for free.
Oh boy, you know I'm ready to watch some Soul Man. That
Yes.
movie just brings a smile to my face.
Yeah, trigger warning, I would not recommend this is not a very
No,
racially sensitive movie, so I
no.
will specify that before anyone actually wants to watch that movie. But
Yeah.
if you do want to watch it, we're going to talk about it. Um, and also, if you want to talk to us, you can email us over at driveanddoubleFeaturePodcast@gmail.com. Don't forget to check out our YouTube channel, youtube.com/driveanddoubleFeaturePodcast, and check out our, did I say Patreon or YouTube?
You said YouTube first, yeah.
And once again, don't forget to check out the Patreon, patreon.com/driveanddoubleFeaturePodcast. But until next time.
Until next time.